have you ever been out there in the street and let's just say you're trying to pick up something, or you're going to a restaurant, or you're just walking down, let's say, Market Street, and then you just decide to take a look at your watch? You know, something normal. It's something that everybody does. You know, they're running late. They have to check what time it is. But now, you probably can't do that anymore. Why? Well, recently there were 2 victims that were robbed of their watches in broad daylight in the Philadelphia. And they weren't just ordinary watches, people. They were Rolexes.
I think I heard about this.
Mm-hmm. So, from our peoples at 6ABC, a rash of armed robberies targeting victims wearing watches, specifically Rolexes, could be closer to being solved after the arrest of 3 suspects this past Wednesday in Rittenhouse Square. So, detectives in plain clothes were working in detail connected to a rash of armed robberies recognized a silver Lincoln sedan with 3 men inside. Officers pulled the vehicle over at 17th and Locust around 7 in the evening, and the arrests were made without an incident. So the detectives recognized the Lincoln, which they believe was stolen from a December 7th armed robbery just off of Rittenhouse Square. Sources say the investigators think that 9 recent gunpoint robberies committed across Center City could be connected. There was a family that was leaving the Four Seasons on the evening of December 7th when they were approached by multiple armed men. Quote by one of the victims, "He had a gun right to my stomach area, and right from the beginning, I knew it was not going to be a fun night." The incident happened on the 1700 block of Cuthbert Street, and it was captured on surveillance video. And they were kind of like, what do you have? What do you have? They specifically asked, was I wearing a watch? And once they saw I had a watch, they took my watch. So these watches that they gave up, take a guess how much they worth.
$3,000, $10,000 max.
You know, you were.
It depends if it's crusted, if it's special, if it's customized with the gold and the diamonds, and it gets a little bit risky.
Yeah, a little bit. GPS. So he's looking between 3 to 10 G's. What are you looking at?
If you go for, I mean, a typical submariner probably starts about $5-7 grand. If you want to go to like your Yacht Masters and you wear Oyster Perpetual, you can easily be bumping 20-30 G's.
Ooh, look at this guy. GPS knows his watches.
Ooh, he knows his watches.
Oh yeah, I got my eyes on the submariner.
What?
I think
You're gonna get a Rollie?
What's that?
You're gonna get a Rollie?
It's a plan. It's something I've been thinking about. And now that I am a little less distracted these days, I may just go on ahead and
let me know.
Pull the trigger on it.
Make sure nobody pulls the trigger on you when you have that Rollie.
Oh no, because you make look. You see me, I'm going to be in perpetual motion with you. Catch me if you can.
Catch me if you can. Make sure the bullet doesn't say "caught you." Okay, we don't want that.
It's going to have to catch me too.
Oh man, GPS
That's
with a Rollie.
But you rock your Rollie when you go on special occasions. I wouldn't be wearing it out in the street like that, man.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure out how these people know. Like, if I'm walking out in the street and you ask me, "Do you have a watch on?" and I don't know who you are, I'm gonna say, "No, I don't have a watch on." I'm not gonna yell out because if he didn't have, so how do you know from a distance that I have a Rolex on, man?
Well,
how do you know?
Rolexes are pretty thick. I mean, unless they're targeting people with, that are dressed fancy, dressed sharp, dressed nice. And I didn't mention this, and I'll mention this now. GPS was looking at around the 5 to 10 G range, maybe a little high. No, that was Cortez, 5 to 10 Gs. GPS was more like the 15 to 30. GPS, you're in the right spot because these watches individually were worth 30 G's each.
Yeah, it's probably Yacht Master 2s or Oyster Perpetual. May have some, like Cortez was saying, may have some jewels in them. Oh yeah, I mean, all these watches do that. Matter of fact, your friend of mine, Mr. Sean Carter,
yes,
was just in the news over. I know I'm gonna get this wrong.
You're right.
But depending on how these watches are made, they could be well into the millions.
This was about, I think it was a $6 million watch or something like that.
It was up there. Whatever it was, listen, security's going to be necessary.
Yeah. And
okay?
that's MSRP right there. That's MSRP.
Oh, the thing about it, if you know, so the thing about it, if you spend that much for a watch, it has a lifetime warranty, a lifetime guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, Rolexes they run good, man.
Oh, hell
They run
yeah.
real good. That's a popular. That's why people buy them. They built to last.
That's right. And the man who started it all, as far as the Rolly, I got to give him a shout out because he actually has a new podcast out, and that's the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. He has his own podcast out there. I think it's called the Woo Podcast or the Woo Podcast. So he just started, I think, within the past month or so. So shout out to the Nature Boy. God bless you, sir. You are a legend in the field of wrestling, but you are also a legend in styling and profiling. That's how hip hop got into this because of your. You were the catalyst. You were the catalyst because who else talked about Rollies or alligator shoes? Who else but the Nature Boy?
That was Ric Flair,
Yes,
man.
indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.